Right. Let us read the final chapter of Chainsaw Man. So yes, we actually are reading chapter 97 of Chainsaw Man. Which is called I Love Chainsaw. So, patties, fried cutlet, nuggets, offal miso stew, meat only curry, meatballs, sushi, steak, sashimi, hot pot, meat buns, extreme juice, as opposed to normal juice. Extreme juice. Mystery meat hot pot. Man, I don't want to see this whole entire manga end. That's the problem. Yeah. He's showing his belly. Doggies. I can see Kishibe just vibing the entire time. Like there's no change in his character. He's just vibing. I hate it all. This Makime didn't revive from my stomach or from the crapper either. Because he ate everything, to be honest. Every single last detail of Makime is now gone. She became bread, bro. She became bread. Misaki didn't revive from my stomach or from the crapper either. Seems she didn't. Attacks don't work against Makima. How are you able to kill someone untouchable? I'm not out to hurt Miss Makima at all. Those are my honest feelings. I hate her to become one with her. That's not an attack. It's love. LOVE. Your plan probably happened to work by chance, either due to the specific terms of the contract, or as a matter of perception, but I'm more interested in the explanation for something else. How is it you were able to get the drop on Makima with that attack? Given what she's capable of, wouldn't she notice you right away? I had this hunch based on all of the conversations we had the intel and enemies and all that. The thing about Makima is she perceives us via scent. She doesn't actually remember individual faces. She remembers the sense of people she has an interest in. Oh, interesting. So I made a gamble. I bet that the whole time Miss Makima had only been looking at Chainsaw Man, not me. That she never saw me even once from the start. Oh shit! Good point. Good point. Oh! Hey, short stuff. We're having a top secret conversation here. Beat it. Ow. Huh. I know this bite. Miss Makima. That kid was discovered by that kid was discovered in China. I nicked her. She isn't Makima anymore. She's the control devil. Oh. Doggy. Makima's dead. The new control devil shouldn't have her memories or anything else. That said, if we leave her with the government and let them raise her, odds are she'll turn out like Makima again. Seriously? I don't want to eat any more meat for a long while. Yep, that's why I'm going to trust her to you. Say again? I'm about to get busy. Figured leaving her in your care would be the best course of action. Doggy, no can do. There's just no way. Little girl, what's your name? Nayuta. Ah! So that's how it connects. Oh, so she was a control devil. Ah! Clever! Fujimoto, been on there since 2016. Been on there since 2016, my dude. Had his whole entire thing planned out. God damn you, Fujimoto. God damn you. Very extended, to be honest. At least with Iron Man to, at least with Incredible Hulk to Iron Man, it's like what, 1 year, I think, if I remember correctly. And then Avengers was like, what, 3 years later? This one was almost like, almost 5. Oh, I was gonna say, it would probably even more bridge the gap of that if she maybe was a Control Devil as well, the original Nayuta. But yeah, good point. She actually doesn't have the horns. God, Nayuta, is there anything you want to eat other than meat? Sliced bread. Pretty inexpensive devil to keep, aren't you? Though I do actually wonder whether or not that actually might in theory be more to Nayuta originally as well, though. Whether or not possibly say that that maybe Nayuta's basically like the code name. Possibly. Who knows? That mean Nayuta's like, maybe the Nayuta we saw originally might actually be who we saw and who we saw now. Maybe if that makes any sense. Maybe there's something more going on essentially. Is what I'm trying to say in a very broader term. I don't know, because for Nayuta, for there to be 2 Nayutas, it has one. We've got to find out what happens to the first one, because it would be kind of weird if she just kind of dropped the face of the universe, unless it's just something. It's more of a kind of public conscious kind of thing, like Nayuta's a name that's actually in the public conscious. So that's actually why they named her that, possibly. It could be a parallel. It could be a parallel universe, but it's one of those things. Whether or not that maybe whether or not maybe the original Nayuta possibly also might have grown up to be Makima, because she actually does have the exact same eyes as Makima does. I mean, even this Nayuta actually does have the same eyes as Makima does. But the only thing that's actually a bit different is the fact that Makima doesn't actually have horns. That's the only thing that's actually a bit different between Nayuta and Makima, is that she doesn't actually have horns. Vegeta? Denji, my dream was to have someone hug me. Sounds easy, right? Except I'm too strong, so it's actually really hard. But you made my dream come true. Denji, I want you to grant the Control Devil's dream too. The Control Devil? Control Devil. She always wanted to form an equal relationship with others. She could only form relationships through the power of fear. So she always longed for something like a family. That's the kind of world she wanted to create, even if she went about it the wrong way. You think so? Maybe. It makes more sense if say that the original Makima was Nayuta we saw in the original one shot, because it kind of then bridges the gap a bit more easily than say, by the way, it's actually just Nayuta. It's like just like Vegeta going, yeah, she went about it the wrong way. It's like, you think? So you create that world for her, okay? Vegeta, how do I give her lots of hugs? Chainsaw Man beat another devil? Killing devils is supposedly his hobby, you know. Do you think Chainsaw Man is human? They say he only saves girls. Hey, have you heard? Rumor has it Chainsaw Man is a high schooler now. End of part 1, public safety arc, the end. So where the fuck do we go from here? Well, there you go. It's Chainsaw Man in its entirety, pretty much. Yeah. Where the fuck do we go from here, bro? That's the main question. Every high school rom-com now. I wouldn't even be angry, to be honest. I'd be like, yeah, fuck it. I'd be like, fuck it, why not at this point? He most certainly has done it once again. I can't believe it. The man's done it twice. I guess 3 times we actually count the original one shot as well now, technically speaking. The man got us again. Oh man. Man, just think the actual manga was ending, only to be like, no, part 1's ending. It's like, what the fuck do we do now? Where are we going? What's gonna happen here? I mean, to be honest, the entirety of this manga is basically the ending to Burn After Reading, essentially. It's just the exact same ending. It's just nothing much has changed. The only thing that's changed is just don't do it again, essentially. Just don't do it again. That's the entirety of Chainsaw Man in a nutshell. Just don't do it again. Just this time round, grant the control devil what she wants, but don't let her to basically just, you know, destroy the entire world in the process. Almost. That's actually kind of, it does open a lot more about Makima as a person though, because maybe she, because we always kind of imagined that she did kind of have a heart though. That's the thing. The moral is everyone died. Yep. The moral story is death. Death, bro. That's the end. Oh man, Fujimoto, what you doing, my dude? How is Shonen Jump still alive off that chapter? How is it just not being like, what the fuck? And it just poofed out of existence. Oh man. There's no way in hell he did that. I just got away with it. There's just no way. I can imagine Shonen Jump just kind of like, what the fuck is this? And just... And it's like, bro, you're in Shonen Jump Plus now. Man. I love Fujimoto. The man's crazy enough to actually pull off that twist. Imagine reading that one shot 4 years ago, being like, fuck it, and then forgetting about it for like 4 years, just to kind of be like, holy fuck! Like, there's just no way. No one else can probably do that. The only other person probably could freely do that's probably Araki, and he's actually done it already. But other than that, no one else can probably pull off that twist. 4 years, and it just, by the way, Naruto's actually in his manga now. It's like, what? But yeah, I guess the end of the moral story is Keisha survives. What happened to Kabeni? Where's Kabeni? Where is she? What's she doing? Is she okay? Is she fine? God. How many other characters have we actually have we just kind of MIA'd out of existence at this point in this manga? The dude that was with Makima to begin with but then left, he was one of them. Octopus Boy. Whatever happened to him? He just sort of fucked off and just left. He's like, I'm done here, boys, and just vacated the entire manga. But I can honestly say, God fucking damn it, that was an amazing ride. There's no way in hell we can give it less than a 10. It's impossible. It's so fucking good. It was the most consistently wild manga that actually had a bit of like, what the fuck are you doing here, Fujimoto? To actually be like, huh, by the end of it. It was cool. It was good. I liked it a lot. I can't technically judge it against Fire Punch yet, because technically speaking it's not over yet. It's part 2 is coming soon, so I can't put it against Fire Punch, even though I still think Fire Punch is probably the overall best manga's ever done. But again, it's the first one he ever did. Yeah, that was the main. That's the main thing I took away from the whole entire chapter more than anything was Makima's character. So I thought it was kind of interesting because you always knew she had a heart. So I'm guessing, practically speaking, she was probably the one. It's probably only Naruto that actually had a heart in a way, possibly, because Naruto wasn't born with a human heart unless everyone thought she wasn't, and then it would make sense to why she acts the way she does. Because again, she wanted to be on equal levels, but she couldn't because of what was going on with her essentially. Which makes sense to actually what was going on with Naruto in the original one shot. But then even more so, the chapter with the actual what's the name of that thing? The theater. That's the name of that thing. The chapter with the theater itself. It was an important chapter because it kind of was the turning point for actually understanding that she was a human after all. She wasn't technically a sociopath. She wasn't a sociopath for the sake of being a sociopath either. It's just because all the circumstances she actually had kind of all factored into actually her being who she was. So it wasn't as if, oh yeah, by the way, I'm just like this because of no reason. No, it was actually because of what actually was transpiring with her, that she was kind of the way she was. So it makes sense, and actually she always, I'm guessing, possibly, maybe, that's why she cried in the movie, because she saw in that movie that what she couldn't have, essentially, the idea of being on equal terms with someone, and actually being outside of the realms of the curse that she might actually think she has. So again, granted, yeah, it does then kind of put into question why more of the other like kind of actions she does. But again, maybe that's why she did what she did. Yeah, I think it's mainly because the whole entire theater scene was due to the fact that she understood that she could not have what they had. So she cried because of that. But then at the same time, it's more of her being human in that way. But then at the same time, it kind of then makes sense to why she acts the way she does. And maybe that's why she only knows how to kind of cause misery to others. That's because the only way she understands to actually kind of have someone is to kind of corner them and actually make them seem as if they actually have no one left. Which might also then factor in actually what probably happened to her. Like in essence, that's all she had essentially. The idea of actually being cornered to the point that she had no one else besides one person. So maybe she's only leading by what she saw and actually experienced as well. So that's what I'm saying. That's why I always kind of didn't write Makima off as a person that was a complete sociopath / also a psychopath / also a kind of horrible human being. Because again, at the back of my brain, I was always kind of like, there has to be something else going on here to why she's the way she is. She can't just out of nowhere just be like that. No one's like that, essentially. It's what they always say. It's one of the key points right in the character. You've got to actually kind of give them depth, essentially. There's a knack to it. And I feel like Makima, for the most part, you didn't understand why she was doing what she was doing because you didn't understand who she was. We never knew who she was because, again, no one did. No one knew who Makima was truly, because we only saw what we knew. We only knew what we saw essentially of her. Everything else was kind of like it was up in the air. It was always like, who is Makima truly? Is she evil? Is she good? Is she just got a really weird way of going about things? And clearly, the latter was the truth. That she wasn't evil. It's just the way she went about doing it was kind of the wrong way of doing it. So yeah, I mean, when you kind of put it in perspective, it's actually a really depressing kind of like character she had in a way. Yeah, she was just kind of stuck with domination. She actually had nothing else, so she probably didn't want to do it. Essentially, there might have been a part of her that kind of didn't want to do what she did. But the problem was, the only thing she knew was what she knew, and that's actually what transpired in this whole entirety of Chainsaw Man. But at the same time, it's more interesting that she didn't actually see Denji. She only knew the scent of Chainsaw Man, which actually was quite interesting. Because again, it kind of then makes the entire relationship between the two of them just kind of seem even more distant. There's no sense of her actually kind of she wasn't fulfilling any desire that Denji had. She was fulfilling the desires that he had to get to that one point that would be Chainsaw Man, essentially. Which kind of is depressing when you think about it, because every single thing she actually had with Denji might or might not been kind of evidently true. But at the same time, it's a very interesting kind of end, more than anything. It's not an end because it's not theoretically speaking ended yet. We still continue on to actually to the next part of Chainsaw Man. But at the same time, it's very interesting actually how now this whole entire chapter is basically unraveled the entire manga. Like, because beforehand you're like, oh well, Makima's dead, hooray, basically. But now you're kind of like, well, it's kind of depressing. Yeah, that's the other thing to note as well. That maybe the entire thing with Chainsaw Man was because that she finally met someone she can't control or dominate in that way. So Chainsaw Man's probably the only person, because practically speaking, she bent Denji to her whim in the end, didn't she? So Denji was the weaker of the two. So maybe, and then that was actually kind of her downfall in the end, because practically speaking, her wanting to meet Chainsaw Man was then her neglecting Denji, which actually was her undoing. Kind of clever when you think about it. The entire time we thought that everyone not paying attention to Denji was a detriment, where everyone didn't care about Denji, but practically speaking actually worked to his advantage, because in the end she didn't technically know who he was, so only knew Chainsaw Man's scent. So in that kind of way, he's able to get the one up on her. Kind of clever when you think about it, because again, this chapter just basically unravels the entirety of this whole entire manga. Like, there's not really anything you can view here anymore that kind of is the same. This chapter literally ends the entirety of the first arc, but at the same time, it then makes you wonder what else is different now. And the main thing is now that the main difference is we understand why she cried in the theater, plus then we actually understand why that Denji got the upper hand in the end, and also then why she acts the way she does. Depressing, no less, because again, it kind of, you do technically feel a little bit of like remorse for kind of the things you have towards Makima because of what was going on with her, but then at the same time, the way she went about it, as Pachita says, wasn't the best of all things, which again factors into why she's the way she is. Again, that's why I always say the distinction between good writing is the idea of giving context to why a character acts the way they do. If you don't give them that and they just go forward and actually being this kind of sociopathic kind of psychopath as well character, there's nothing there you can latch onto. There's nothing there you can care about. But then if you actually have a chapter that actually unravels why they're the way they are, it then makes sense. It actually then puts in perspective a lot of different events this whole entire manga actually kind of had. The entirety of the moment with Power and Makima, for example. I do not. And so on and so forth. So it's a very interesting prospect now. It's one of those ones you can probably go reread the entirety of Chainsaw Man and actually have a different perspective overall. But really, it's an amazing read. It's probably one of the best I've actually kind of read in a recent time when it comes to Shonen Jump. Because again, I actually haven't probably read a manga like Chainsaw Man in probably years when it comes to this kind of publication. There's nothing like this. There's nothing like this at all. But I respect what he did, because at first this whole entire manga was a deconstruction of the entirety of the MC, essentially. Like, Denji wasn't the typical main character because he wasn't meant to be. His whole entire character existed to actually kind of deconstruct the main character's dream. I can't wait to watch it either. It's going to be amazing. The whole entire chapter's going to be amazing to actually watch in anime form. Yeah, it's one of those ones that it started off being a deconstruction of what it meant to be a part of the main character dream. Like, in essence, him touching boobs in the end wasn't what he thought. So in the end, you can understand that was what Fujimoto wanted to actually say, that in the end, the MC dream is pretty much pointless. The entirety of the time you go to follow it, is it actually worth it? Is the actual painstaking effort people put into it actually worth it? 9 out of 10 times, it isn't. And then, at the same time, as it progressed, it became something even more special. It became something that basically just bucked every single trend of every single shonen manga. It became something so singular, you just couldn't think of anything different. You couldn't think of anything else when it came to this kind of like publication. It was just so singular. It was actually kind of like incredible to read. And it ended just basically unraveling the entirety of the manga. So everything we kind of followed was basically, as has in theory been kind of shown to be an absolute lie, because in the end, Makima actually is a bit more than just who she was. She didn't see Denji, technically speaking, all the time. And yeah, a lot of actually what transpired beforehand wasn't necessarily actually what we were meant to actually kind of believe. I like that. I always kind of like a manga actually kind of does that. It doesn't actually always kind of keep to the same kind of conventions. It constantly wants to evolve what it means to be a part of this whole entire world, and I like that. So yeah, I mean, it's gonna. Oh, I will. Oh, okay. So by the way, isn't a chainsaw originally a tool to cut wood? If you cut the key out of Makima, you get Mama. Denji has always been pursuing maternal things. Oh fuck! Yeah. And key means tree. Ah. Key always means tree. But yeah, because Kiri is the cut, isn't it, if I remember correctly? Because Kirisugu's name means to cut and put that together, if I remember correctly, in Fate. So isn't Kiri to cut, if I remember in Japanese? Kitty's the cut. So, when I was in junior high school, I started making fantasy stories in my head, and several serialized works, but only one of them, Breath of Stars, is Chainsaw Man. In it, Makima is a character that symbolizes domination. That's why Makima was the first character in Chainsaw Man that I had a solid image of both inside and outside. I like the Benton character and the eccentric family based on the novel by Tomihiko Morimi, because he's unfathomable being who is higher than humans but has his own sadness, but we, the lowly ones, cannot be there for his sadness. I like it. It would be nice if we could show that in Makima too. By the way, isn't a chainsaw originally a tool to cut wood? If you cut the key out of Makima, you get Mama, and she's always, yeah, makes sense. I was gonna say, I swear Kitty was the cut in Japanese. This makes sense. So maybe theoretically speaking, taking the literal meaning also for tree, or but actually taking the key, making it a Kiri. You could probably say that him cutting ties with Makima was actually him finally being able to actually kind of progress the person in a way, kind of getting past that whole entire him wanting that maternal kind of relationship, possibly, as well. So that might be kind of an interesting idea. That maybe that him cutting the ties with her was also that. I guess technically speaking, a lot of this manga actually does in theory kind of utilize names in a more literal sense as well, because Chainsaw Man literally was a name in the world. Is literally a part of the universe. So possibly again that might in theory be a kind of factor into this whole entire series. But yeah, I mean, yeah, this is just a really, I'm sad to see it go. I mean, it's not gone, but it's just gone for a little while. Kind of sad to see it go because again, it's just kind of a fun read each week to actually kind of sit here and just kind of experience it, because every single week you just leave it like, what the fuck have I just read? Oh, okay. Right. Fujimoto's adorable. He just kind of goes, I'm speechless considering my series will be done by the same studio that did Dorohedoro and Jujutsu Kaisen. He's adorable. Oh yeah, I see. There's a lot of them. I need to actually purchase magazines. Actually, can you actually purchase magazines? The magazine itself in physical form. I don't know if does Amazon Japan sell them? So I might actually buy this week's actual one. I have it digitally on here because they release it, but I'd rather actually have it physically as well. Right, that's marking the thing as well. Right, so who's your favorite character? Reze. I'm going to be in love with this girl. Who's your favorite character? Fujimoto. Reze. It's fun to draw her. It's a challenge for me to draw a cute girl, not in the sense of moving character, but as a standalone drawing. Actually, the Reze chapters, Volume 5, Chapter 40, Volume 6, Chapter 52, were inspired by the anime movie Jinro, The Wolf Brigade, directed by Mamoru Oshii. Oh shit, that's cool. Of course, I also combine other works that influenced me, but I was most conscious of this one. If you reread the Reze version with that in mind, you might notice many things about it. There's Typhoon Club, directed by Shinji Somai. I really like the fact that it's a coming of age movie, but there's a bad guy in it. Was the astronaut's foot sticking out of the ground in Ichijoku, influenced by Typhoon Club? Oh, is that so? I wasn't aware of that, I guess. The only influence from that Typhoon Club is the situation of school in the middle of the night when it's raining. Help me out. Shit, there's a fucking ton of them. There is a metric ton of them. Okay, well, we actually have the moon one. The moon one's the most interesting one. As a hell, Volume 8, number 63. I didn't want it to be a goofy hell to begin with. I didn't want it to be a goofy hell. Rather, a hell that reflects one of the religious views. I felt that if it would be a limited hell. I felt that it would be a limited hell. However, if I tried to depict hell without thinking, it would be like Berserk's Kentaro Miura's Eclipse. It's frustrating that when I read or watch various works that accumulate, I like this in my mind. When I paint the image changes to I have to avoid this. Anyway, with this hell, I want to jump into a space where I didn't understand the meaning. For example, when something outlandish comes out in a movie, I'm like, what is this? Before you can think, is he going to take me to my place? Take me to my place? What's going on? I'm not sure. I guess this kind of thing is better suited for a movie than that can be enlivened by music than a comic book. Interstellar and Parasite, you can hear music that gives you a sense of what's to come. That's like a director saying, I'm going to show you some stuff, so when they don't shrug their shoulders and something amazing comes out, I'm like, oh, I'm so happy. I'd like to see that moment in the movie. I want to see such a moment in the movie. I want to express that kind of feeling of anger as well. Hell, where static waves at a vote, where space from the spacesuit, it's not a shadow extending from the astronaut's upper body, but if you look closer, you can see the internal organs. I remember. I saw that. I was like, internal organs, bro. Yeah. I mean, I got to read those later on. Those are kind of interesting. Yeah. Mainly, the entirety of this manga actually now, it's a constant like whirlwind of just like turning everything on its head. So by the end of it, it's like a 560-degree angle of like this whole entire manga. Like nothing is what it was originally. It's an interesting experience. Mainly because I haven't really experienced a manga that constantly evolved and changed, actually then evolved again and then changed again, quite like this in my whole entire existence. It's more or less like this is the most singular experience I've ever had in a manga. It's just one of those things that you can never explain truly what this manga actually truly is, because it's just impossible, because it's just so many things. It's just way too many things, but I also kind of respect it for doing that. It's just such a different experience, and I respect that it was actually in Shonen Jump as well. A publication that actually up to this whole entire point. Basically, yeah. Conclusion: we love Chainsaw Man. We'll want to see more of it. We'll see what happens next. Thank God for Shonen Jump as well for actually including this one in there. Because again, it's one of those ones that it's nice to actually see something in a publication that is otherwise very in certain places quite safe. But now, yeah, Fire Punch is a different breed of manga. I could never compare the two of them. Directors, it's like he's like oh man, it's like Blade Runner and Blade Runner 20, it's like Blade Runner and Blade Runner 2049 in a way. How both film technically it's a sequel to technically Blade Runner 2049 is a sequel to Blade Runner, but two entirely different films. You can't really compare the two of them. The same thing with Chainsaw Man and Fire Punch. I can never do a tier list of Fujimoto mangas because I can never choose between these two mangas because they're so vastly different. One is my all-time favorite manga of all time that I adore to no end. That I consider the most perfect piece of fiction in existence, and the other is Chainsaw Man. It's just the most different experience of my whole entire life. But it's just they're both so vastly different, but so vastly one of those things I would always say just please go read it, because it's such a whirlwind of different things. I just you can never get enough of it, and then I can't wait to see what he does next. I'm fully on board with this crazy man at this point. I can't get off the crazy train of Fujimoto because it's too good at this point. So that about does it for me. I'm gonna lie down in the corner and cry and to think about every single Sunday not having Chainsaw Man now until it comes back eventually in Jump Plus, which I believe at that point is monthly, if I remember correctly. So that'll be fun. Is it bi-weekly? I can't remember. I think Jump Plus is bi-weekly. Was it weekly as well? One of them's bi-weekly and one of them's weekly. If I remember correctly, one of them's monthly and one of them's once in a blue moon. It's really confusing. Jump's got so many. But yeah, stretch a little bit. My bones starting to seize up a little bit. But anyway, I hope you actually have enjoyed this whole entire series of me covering Chainsaw Man. It's been a blast. I love it to bits. It's such a fantastic read. Do go read it. Actually, haven't read it yet. Please, it's amazing. Do not wait for the anime, because I will always say, please read Fujimoto's work. It's not going to be the same in anime form. It's going to be probably freaking awesome to see it animated. But I always will say, go read it, because it's his manga is it's Kino, bro. It's Kino. It's the most purest form of Kino you can probably get. So yeah. I'll be here for part 2, and actually we'll be then here also for when the actual anime comes out. Hopefully be sooner rather than later. But yeah, until next time with whatever Fujimoto does next, and also then Chainsaw Man Part 2. If you have enjoyed the whole entire stream I'm doing free, leave a like because indeed it's quite a bit. If you have then enjoyed the whole entire stream I'm doing free, leave us up because indeed it's quite a bit as well. If you have then enjoyed this whole entire stream as a whole on YouTube doing free, follow me on Twitter or join Discord as well because both of you help me quite a lot and both will then tell you when your streams are live and any other stream I do as well. But until next time with whatever I cover next and also hopefully then Chainsaw Man Part 2. See you guys then. Bye for now.